welcome to Stunt Car Racer on the Commodore 64. This is a classic game by Geoff Crammond, and I think, if I remember, it is his last game on the Commodore 64. It has the multiplayer option, but it's purely hot seat gaming. There is no simultaneous multiplayer, unlike the Amiga version, which you could link up to Amigas and or an Amiga and an ST, and you could play the game head to head, but you can't do that in this version, I'm afraid. There we go. Right, this is a single load game, so there's quite a lot in this game. All things considered, there's 8 tracks. They not graphically varied, as you'll see, but there's still quite a lot of gameplay here. I think we'll just we'll go for we'll start the racing season. Now, Geoff Crammond, they also programmed the Amiga version, which I mean, there's no argument really. It is better on the Amiga. There's no doubt about that, really. But the 64 version and you know, to a certain extent, the Z80 versions, like the Spectrum and the Amstrad, they're all good games. But I believe Crammond programmed this version and the Amiga ST versions himself, and Pete's Cook maybe programmed the Z80 version. I think I could be wrong about that, but right. So the aim of the game is to drive your car around a sort of bumpy track which is raised in the air. Unusually for a race game on the 64, this uses wireframe or slightly filled in graphics. They're not pure 3D polygons, but they are filled in a little bit. You can see the frame rate is actually surprisingly quick. I mean, Geoff Crammond obviously very skilled in making these sort of games. I'll have a bad start there, you can see your opponent there. Obviously this game, the Amiga version is better because it's got more colour. You can see more of the track ahead. I think this is the only criticism I could level at the 64 version, is the lack of draw distance, but it's understandable given the amount of 3D calculations that are involved. Now, the way to succeed in this game is to know what speed to make all these jumps at. Also, I'll take that a bit fast. If you go too fast, or if you mistime a jump, I'll show you what happens. You end up flying off the track. And on the 64 version you get a nice little dust effect here, which I think is better than it is on the Amiga, but just my opinion. I'll be hard pressed now to catch my opponents, but I'll try. I mean, in terms of gameplay, it's almost identical to the Amiga version. It's just the frame rate and the draw distance is not as good, that's all. The actual gameplay is still good. You still feel like you're driving a car. It still has believable physics. I mean, obviously they're not 100% accurate, but they're more accurate than most games. Certainly in the 64. You have a limited amount of boost. You see on the left hand side of the status display at the bottom, it says B21, that's my boost, so the more you use the I guess it's 0, you're at boost basically. L2 means I'm on lap 2, there's 3 laps in each race, and the distance, it says 1027 there. That's how far ahead my opponent is, and I'm quite high in that jump there. At the top of the screen you can see a little crack gradually going from left to right. That is my damage meter. Oops, almost fell off there. Come on, yes. Now once it gets to the right hand side, that's race over. Alright, I'm really going to have to get the boot down here to try and catch this guy. But sometimes just going as fast as you can is not the way. Some of the tracks themselves are quite fiendish. They've got huge jumps. Well, there's one track that has a drawbridge that goes up and down. There's quite a lot of variety really in terms of the style of the tracks, but graphically they're all similar. But there's not much detail in the tracks, understandably so. I mean, it's a miracle, I think, just to have a 3D game, run this fast on a 64, which has got famously a slow processor. Well, it looks like I'm not going to win this race. Yep, race lost. Only a little bit. I mean, I'll show you one more track just to show you the difference. Yep, so I've got a track record, but I still was beaten there. Your opponents have different styles. That was Jumping Jack, but there's a guy called Roadhog who is a Roadhog. They have their own little quirks. Yeah, you can rotate the track around here. Just take a look at all the jumps. You can see this one has 2 fairly large jumps, or at least one large jump, or one large. It depends. Depends which way we're going. I think the game's only weak area is the sound effects, which aren't that great, to be honest. Could do with a meteor engine sound. Doesn't sound that great. I mean, it's not, the sound effects aren't that great on the Amiga, to be honest. Though it does have some nice creaking as you take damage. Here it's just a little beep. Right, there's my opponent trying to overtake. Yeah, this is you've got to take this at the right speed really to which I haven't. If you go too slow, you lose too much time. If you go too fast, you can overshoot and land badly, take more damage. You know, I've mistimed this as well. I hit the wrong side of the slope. Oh. The indicator at the bottom left says minus 151. That means that my opponent is 151 meters behind me. At least I think it's meters. So as long as it's a negative value, that's good. You see I'm bouncing around quite a lot here. That's quite a bouncy track. If you hit a wrong angle, then you're bound to fly off, to be honest. Let's see if I can do a better job this time. Too slow. I mean, until you actually play it, I think it's one of these games that it might not look that absorbing, but once you play it, you do get quite hooked on it. It just feels so good to play. There's never really been another game like it. I believe Crammond was planning on doing a sequel on the PC before his studio shut, but unfortunately it closed and they never got the chance. As I was saying earlier on, the Amiga version lets you link up to an Amiga or ST using a parallel, was it not? Oh, in fact, a no modem cable. Sorry. Yeah, and the machines sync together, and you can do a head-to-head. But it obviously involves taking your Amiga over to your friend's house, which I have done. I did do that back in the day. I used to cart my Amiga over. Used to dig out another telly for it, and it was worth doing actually. It was good fun. Right, well I'm on lap 3. Almost finished, to be honest. I'm easily going to win this race. Whoops, just avoided that little ditch there. Right, well that's pretty much, whoa, a quick glimpse at Stunt Car Racer. Again, as I said before, better on the Amiga and ST, but on the 64 it's still a great game, and highly recommended. I think I'll give it, well, I don't think it's really any other choice but to give it 10 out of 10. Maybe a little biased because I do like Geoff Crammond's games, but he's got a reputation, and I feel that has deserved that reputation. So yep, 10 out of 10.